All right, welcome to Optimal Living Starts Here. I am Versandra Kennebrew, your host for this episode, and today, just as all of the other episodes, we have a very special guest that is joining us. And we know that this show is all about empowering veterans and their families to live healthy, happy lives. However, there's a lot of resources that are out there that people just may not be aware of. And so our guest today is an expert when it comes to clinical research. In fact, he is the principal at ClinCEP, and he's going to be sharing some information with us about what the benefits of clinical research are. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about how his business is supporting veterans and their families. And believe me, there's a whole lot of them in the Columbus, Georgia area where we reside. And so we're going to learn a lot today. And I hope you will grab your pens and your paper, take down some notes, because what we will share with you today will definitely be beneficial in so many ways. So without further ado, let me just introduce to you one of my fellow cohorts here at Startup Columbus, Mr. Jay Pitts. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's going on? I'm telling you, you get the best intros ever. I'm like, Lord, I'm looking around the room like, well, I guess I won't be speaking tonight. Somebody else got it.
Yes, it's all you, brother.
Well, I surely appreciate it. I'm so super glad to be here with you. So looking forward to speaking and being able to share what little bit I got. So.
Okay. I've actually seen you in action a few times here at Startup Columbus. We have had the opportunity to have several interviews with the cohorts here that are, really building their businesses in order to make a difference in Columbus, Georgia. I mean, things are really happening over here in this side of the world. I don't know what's going on in other places, but here things are happening. And I have been just so impressed watching how your company has been growing over the past probably about 9 months or so. And I'm just excited about what you have to share with our audience, because I've been seeing people coming in every day, getting involved in this research. So tell us, what is it all about?
Well, you said a lot of good stuff. And I think that one of the things I like to talk about and start off with is there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of myths with clinical research and what it is and what it's not. And even before I got into it, you hear about clinical research, making people lab rats and pretty much guinea pigs and all of this stuff like that. And clinical research, especially, in my community, it's not that at all. We've heard that, but it's not that. And clinical research is another avenue. It's an alternative way to get top quality healthcare. And that's, if I had to sum it up in a few words, that's probably the best way to do it. Clinical research has been pivotal for a lot of different people. And everything doesn't work for everybody. In clinical research, what we do is we offer another option as a way to get really superior quality healthcare. So I'm just glad to be a part of it and to share that.
Absolutely. That's some good stuff. And when we think about some of those misconceptions, let's just, bring it home, because we really got to be real about these things, because I'm telling you, people take information and they just pass it along as if it's the truth, when it's really no truth in it at all. But then there's other situations where there might be a bit of truth in it. And so people will take that little bit of truth and turn it into something much larger. And so let's just really go deep about that, because there are some myths, but what are those specific myths that you have heard people say about clinical research, even as it relates to our latest global health crisis? I'm sure you've heard some myths about that as well.
Oh yeah, and you hit it spot on. Down south, I say even particularly, we've had a lot of history in clinical research. There was a lot of things that were terribly done in Tuskegee. with a study that was done back then that has affected our community drastically. And because of that, in other cases like that, there have been a lot of organizations and institutions and regulations, federal regulations, worldwide regulations have been instilled and put into place to prevent situations and occurrences like that from ever happening again. And I'm glad that we were able to see that, and I can actually speak on intelligently on that, because a lot of those people that were affected, if I'm being real, look like me, And so because of that, it puts me sometimes in an odd situation when talking to individuals that have lived through some of that, or have seen some of that, experienced some of that, or read the stories somewhere, and having that conversation with them, and they say, "Well, do you know about this, or do you know about that?" I'm like, "Actually, I do, but I can tell you this with a lot of sincerity, that it's not the way that it once was." And there, again, as I mentioned, you can't go far now without seeing some type of regulation involving patient safety and the care about the patient. And I think some of the other misconceptions is I kind of hint on it a little bit about guinea pigs and lab rats, and a lot of times a lot of the portraits that are painted are that clinical research. You don't get good care out of it. It's just simply you just signing up for a study so they can, I guess, experiment on you. But it's quite the contrary, Varsandra. Actually, in a lot of clinical studies are designed to not only help the patient specifically, but their family as well, but also the community and our population, whether it's worldwide or US. And not just that, but it's also to keep pushing the science, the envelope of science, to understand how the body works and how a certain medicines work in the body, and to the point where we can provide better, superior quality care from the patient interaction with the doctor to the patient interacting with to the clinic or the hospital. So it affects a lot of different people in a lot of different situations. And I love it because clinical research, I mean, you talk about clinical research in more common colds, and clinical research in depression, and clinical research all the way to more intensive things like cancer drugs. It's all there, and being a part of this community is so fascinating sometimes, just to see what research is being done.
Yes, yes. And I feel you on that, because I am the primary caregiver for my father, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And recently, his doctor even asked me if I wanted to participate in an Alzheimer's study, because of the fact that my father has Alzheimer's. My mother had some signs of dementia and everything as she was aging and before she transitioned, which puts me at high risk for Alzheimer's.
Right.
And I have to tell you that one thing about being an entrepreneur, especially one that did not get a, lump sum of money or something placed in my hand to get my business started, I am working without medical insurance. And so I know that I'm not the only person that's in that situation. And so when I looked at this study, I saw it as an opportunity for me to learn more about whether I could possibly be at a higher risk for having Alzheimer's, and if there's something that could be done preventatively for me now at my age to keep me from being in that situation where I didn't even know that I had it, but there were these precursors that were already there that really, set me aside and said, yes, it's very possible that this could be you. And there's some signs in my behavior even. And, it just happened that the doctor's like, listen, if you're a full-time caregiver for anybody, then you're really under a lot of stress. So you have to acknowledge that stress could be the problem that you're having with your memory and things like that. But he was saying, I would not say at all that Alzheimer's is your challenge, but the study could help you find out, and it could help you to get some medication if necessary and some preventive care.
Yep.
So you are working on some studies similar to that, if I understand that right?
Absolutely. And just to piggyback off of what you said, because you said a mouthful, and that's one of the main reasons why I got into clinical research, because what it does is it puts patient care and the quality of patient care at the forefront. And that's something that us in ClinCell that we push firmly. And that's one of our foundational company pillars. So I love that because within clinical research, not only patients, and I'll speak about this a little bit more later, but not only patients get top medical care, uh, but they avoid the long lines and a lot of times the waiting because they get triaged backdoor into a way that they can meet the doctor and speak to the doctor directly, where it's not just a, hey, let me schedule a month and a half out. Not only that, but the whole visit, a lot of times that visit's compensated, and not just the visit's compensated, the medicine that they're given is compensated, and not just the medicine they're given is compensated, sometimes the patients are compensated for participating.
Yes. Yes.
And, yeah. So, again, with the misconceptions, a big part of my duty, I feel, is not just to push my company, but it's to unravel a lot of misconceptions that have affected our community predominantly, and as well as the Southeastern United States in general. And you're right, we're involved in a hypertension study, and this is a great example without divulging too much information about the sponsor and everything. This study is extremely low risk, and all we're doing with this particular study is we're measuring individuals' blood pressure, and I love it because you say, well, where's the danger, what's the risk, what's the danger in that, and I love it because the device itself. Now I'll speak on this particular study that we're doing. The device itself is a device that you kind of strap on, and for an hour and a half, you're getting your blood pressure taken with this device, and we're comparing that to the standard of care arm cuff. Yeah. And the whole purpose is to determine if the device, which is newer technology, is more accurate and more effective than the standard of care. That would not be able to happen if we did not have people that say, hey, you know what, let me be a part of this. Let me participate in this, because that pushes healthcare. That pushes the realm of what we can accomplish, individually as well as a large community, So I'm honored. I'm flattered. And it doesn't help that I find science fascinating anyway. So.
Yes. And I have to say that, I'm watching everybody as they come through on a daily basis to get this research done. And I'm seeing nothing but smiles when people come out, especially when they come back and get their check card. That's a wonderful thing. And I'm telling you, I wish I could qualify, but because my age and I do not have high blood pressure, and that was one of the criteria. There's different criteria for every research project that takes place. And I just remember last year during COVID, there was, there was a medical marijuana research thing that was out there. There was one, I mentioned the Alzheimer's. I saw something on depression that was dealing with people that were experiencing high levels of depression.
Yep.
And some of them require, maybe 6 months or even a year, and there's follow-up. And that means that every time you go in, you get a check.
Absolutely.
It's not like, okay, well, I'm just going to give you $50 to participate. Some of them are monthly. You get a check each time, and they pay for your transportation to get there if you need it and things like that. So really, it's kind of similar to if a person recognizes that, yes, my organ could be beneficial to someone when I transition, and they decide, I want to be an organ donor, right? That's one way that you can give back to science to support the ongoing benefits of your family members, your community members, and people around you. But then there is also the idea that once you're done with the research and you get whatever the information you get as a result of it, that benefits you as you move forward with your health and well-being. If you did not know that there was a problem, then you couldn't do anything about it. So knowing is what you really want. And let's just talk about this process. That some research has like the placebo as opposed to the medication that they might be suggesting. So
Right.
in those cases, when you are taking a placebo, then you're really not ingesting anything foreign into your body.
Right.
That's kind of like a sugar pill or something. I think that's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want to know if if you didn't even take the medicine, but you came in and checked in with a doctor or a practitioner on a regular basis, would you feel better? You
Right.
know?
Right.
Sometimes that's what the research is,
Right.
because there is some benefit just to putting your attention toward a thing as to whether the outcome is going to be good or not.
Right.
Sometimes that's all that you really want to know. So
Right.
tell us a little bit more, like when we're talking about veterans specifically, because we know probably research with veteran is probably the largest research project ever in the history of humanity,
Yeah.
because every time you have people in the military and they have to go through a series of this or that, then that is really research.
Yeah.
So tell me how it could really benefit, our veterans and their family members to participate just with that
Oh,
one study
absolutely.
you're talking about, the blood pressure study.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing, and a big shout out to all of our veterans and everybody that served to make sure that we stay safe. And we really appreciate that. And one thing I love about clinical research is it finds a way to solve problems to niches. And one particular niche that affects a lot of veterans is the whole idea of stress, anxiety, PTSD, and all of these signs and symptoms, conditions that affect the people that have gone out of their way to make sure that we can sleep comfortably at night. So that's a large part, and it's a big part of my heart in terms of making sure that they're not put on the wayside or forgotten, and how it benefits veterans. Because a lot of military veterans, I mean, I have a couple of friends I've spoken to talk about sometimes the complications, of getting good health care, and going through the channels and the different, and sometimes it can be a little bit difficult or long or strenuous to get that. And so one thing that I love about two things. One thing that I love about research is that it does address those specific problems, as I kind of mentioned earlier. And so, with stress and anxiety and sleep apnea and PTSD and a lot of these things that affect the veterans, there are tons and tons of studies out there. And these studies are designed to affect the veteran directly.
Yes.
And so we a lot of things, times we don't see those in between areas that kind of and that kind of get forgotten. And I think that's one of them. A good night's sleep, difficulty breathing, being exposed to different environmental factors while you're out in the field or while you're abroad or whatever the case may be. There are tons and tons of studies that are in general sense of sleep apnea to a more specific sense, where we're talking about veterans that deal with these particular situations. So the big problem is you don't know what you don't know. So our job is to bring awareness and say, hey, no, there are a lot of options out there. It's not just a matter of fighting with an individual or two individuals to get an appointment to your doctor. There is a lot of options out there. And you mentioned something, Versanj, I want to hit on. If take, for example, that 6-month study. A 6-month study probably means I'm going to see my primary care physician at least 4 to 6 times over that period of time. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be a struggle. And you're going to be booked in, and you're going to be, and they're going to get you in, and they're going to make sure that, you're getting quality care every single visit. Yes. And I love it. So it's one of those things where it's kind of it's underappreciated, and it's it goes a lot unnoticed, but it plays a huge part into the fabric of clinical research. And I think veterans do as well. So I'm actually in the process of negotiating a veteran study. So until that gets on the wrap, I can't really speak on it. But I don't want it to seem like that this affects only a percentage of people. Clinical research affects all of us. Prior to me starting my own company, I was working at a cancer center. And as I worked at the cancer center, I ran into a lot of people that had similar stories that I was familiar with. I lost both of my grandmothers to cancer, and being able to take care of those patients, and see how how the family. Oh, excuse me. See how the family um, dealt with those situations. Man, it's a lot of times it's unique, but it's a lot of similarities in that. There's a lot of vulnerability. There's a lot of that confusion look, a perplexed look, and being able to open up my own company that I feel like will do good to people. I mean, it's no better feeling.
Right. Well, that's really some good stuff because we definitely want to have not only practitioners, but researchers, doctors, everybody in the medical field. We want those that really care
Right.
about people. And
Right.
although we see that little symbol all the time and we hear do no harm, we recognize that we appreciate those individuals who show up and who share like you do and inform us and educate us and give us real information to help us make the choices that we make, because it is a choice.
Right.
It's not something anybody's taking your hands and strapping them behind you and saying you must do this. We're really saying we're reaching out to you and asking you to participate, and on the other side of you giving of yourself and your time, then there's some rewards that you can benefit from, and those rewards are not only monetary, but they're invaluable in that if you had to pay for what you're getting in the research,
Absolutely.
it could equate to hundreds and even thousands of dollars that you may not even have access to get that kind of care. So that's what we're saying about this whole idea of participating and being involved in clinical research. And at this time, I just want to know if you want to give maybe a shout out to some of your team members, because I know that you have a team of experts that support you, and that is not just you behind the scenes doing this work. And we know that about any strong, successful organization, but you want to share anything about any of your team members?
I would be amiss if I did not start with my lovely, beautiful wife. So let me start there first. I mean, super talented, super supportive. She actually built our website, so she has a lot of gifts, a lot of talents. And, in the midst of, she operates a social media business, and she kind of put some things on hold and delayed some other engagements to help me get going. So I love you, honey. Thank you for that. And I have 3 other staffers that I'm super grateful for, and come to work every day with a smile on their face and with an attitude to give to the people. I will say this: it's Emily, Kayla, and Catherine. So I won't include their last name just in case you're like, why you put my name out there? But anyway. But I will say this: I'm very fortunate and very blessed with the talent that I have surrounding me, and they make my job a whole lot easier. And it's not easy in healthcare, and even more specifically, it's not easy in clinical research, because a large part of, and it's not easy a lot of times working for me, because the culture that I demand is people first, and a lot of times when you put people first, it makes you vulnerable. So, but a lot of times what we don't realize is that vulnerability grows us as individuals. And so, because of that, and working together to solve or to address issues or common issues in healthcare and clinical research, the company culture kind of came about from that, and so I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. We have a great company culture, great team that wants to help individuals be better, live better, and just be there, be a beacon of light for them when a lot of people come in with a lot lost hope.
Right, right. Now we are located right here in the heart of Uptown Columbus, Georgia.
Uptown.
They call it Uptown. Some people call it downtown.
We don't
But
know what it is.
we're in the Columbus State University district, if you will.
Yep.
So are any of your team members a part of that Columbus State family, or where did you guys get your background in clinical research?
Well, my background are my team members.
Your whole team,
okay,
because sometimes, people want to reach out to you if they know a little bit more about your background. So this resume time.
Oh, yeah. So listen, I am a Columbus State alumni and proud of Cougars. We love it. So I started out in Orlando, and I did healthcare down in Orlando, worked in the hospital, a level 1 trauma center. And it was really busy. I ran a supervisor for a pharmacy department down there. So I did that for about 5 years. And I came up here and I continued at Columbus Regional, which was Columbus Regional at the time. Now it's considered Piedmont. And then I went from that to John B. Amos. So I've spent some time with the Columbus Regional side hospital, and I spent some time with the specialty cancer side, which is John B. Amos. And then I got into more clinical research, and in college, I did the whole degree with a couple minors in math and chemistry, but I was a biology major. Thought about going to med school, was headed to med school, fell in love with research, and the rest was history. Over that period of time, I think I mentioned, I lost my grandmothers within a short time of each other and of cancer. And I read something, and I can't tell you where I read it, but it was like, it was a Canadian article or something I was reading. It says, why can't we beat cancer? Something I read, and it resonated with me. I was an athlete and stuff like that, and I play several different instruments, but whatever I do, I try to always be my best. And so, I was just competitive by nature. And so that resonated with me, like, why can't we beat it? How come we cannot beat cancer? And my first thought was, why aren't we all taking that approach? And so I started, like everything else that I do, I started researching, it. And this was in school, and I did a paper on looking at math and science, but specifically cancer, specifically prostate cancer, and looking at the micronutrients, which I'm talking about sugar and oxygen and glucose consumption rate. So it was a mathematical model where I tried to make a system of equations that determine how it travels, how different things travel through the body, ultimately what it was. And, when it was my labor of love, but I found myself in that. I was like, I love this. It was a lot of burning the midnight oil, and getting up early, but I found what I was passionate to do. And it was almost like, I need to figure out how am I going to help figure out how to beat cancer, everything. So, I have not solved that puzzle yet, but it definitely opened some doors in my life into some purpose doors, as I like to call them, and where I can say, this is not just a J thing. Cancer is not just a J thing. It's not just my situation or my story. There are a lot of other stories out there. And then when you stretch it out, even the fabric a little bit wider, there's a lot of other medical conditions, a lot of other areas that we struggle with, in my community and other communities, and so it's like, it's a lot of things we need to beat, a lot of things that we need to conquer, and so I found that what made me the most happy is using clinical research to kind of drive those answers, get those answers, to like you said, Lysandra, I want everybody to leave my office with a smile on their face, because everybody that has not been in clinical research come in the same way. There's a lot of uncertainty. I say about 95% of people, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of nervousness, because they don't know they don't know anything. So, and what they have is these negative stigmas, things that's been preached to them that when they leave, they're like, oh yeah, you know. And so what's important to us, you be with us, you're gonna take a survey. I want to know what you thought. I wanted to know how you felt about this. That it's extremely important to me that the people that leave, you know, felt comfortable, a lot more comfortable coming in than they are, you know, a lot more comfortable leaving than they were coming in. And so that's my backstory, how I got into it. Emily, I have a exceptional. She's one of my lead coordinators here. She has a master's degree in psychology and mental health disorders, and she's just really great with people. Kayla is graduating. She actually just graduated with her bachelor's in biology from Columbus State, so she's a cougar as well. And Catherine, she brings a communication background, so yeah, a lot of different pieces that fit a lot of different needs within ClinSup. So I'm very proud of my team.
Absolutely. Well, you are watching Optimal Living Starts Here, and I am Versandra Kennebrew, your host. We are listening to Jay Pitts, and he is with ClinSup, a clinical research company located right here in Columbus, Georgia.
Yes, we're all many members, but one body.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. We're going to just say peace out for now to all of our family online, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the very near future. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank y'all.